Oh, remember the good old days of video game localization? The original US release of the first Persona game changed everyone's names, turned this guy Masao into Mark, and tried to pretend the game took place in a generic American city.
Because nothing says classic American high school experience like battling ancient Japanese mythological demons in a hospital.
Ah, yes, I remember my sophomore year in Ohio. We also had to summon Norse gods just to get a hall pass to the bathroom.
Exactly. They basically just crossed their fingers, changed a few street signs, and hoped we wouldn't ask any questions.
The first major dungeon in the game is the hospital that gets overrun by demons. It's in 2 minutes of starting.
Talk about an immediate healthcare crisis.
Medical bills must be astronomical.
No kidding. I'm sorry, sir, but fighting the forces of darkness in the lobby is considered an out-of-network expense.
Persona 2 Innocent Sin is a game with a fascinating premise. In Sumaru City, any rumor that becomes popular enough literally becomes reality.
It's the ultimate fake news simulator, decades before social media.
Yeah, the entire plot is highly speculative.
It really digitally spreads the chaos around.
Eternal punishment is a massive rarity because the party consists of actual adults with jobs, taxes, and hangovers.
Oh, finally! A Persona game where the characters are more worried about their credit scores than their midterms.
It really changes the dynamic when a character's primary motivation to save the world is, I need to survive long enough to pay off my mortgage.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you're not fighting for the power of friendship here. You're fighting because you have a 9 a.m. meeting on Monday and you cannot afford to be late.
They're silly and they're goofy, mysterious and spoofy. Camco makes them loopy, the Backtrack family. Their podcast is a blast, talk games from the past. They break down every class, the Backtrack family. Beat. Defeat. Complete. They trash things they abhor, and praise things they adore. They never are a bore, the Backtrack family.
Snake! Snake!
Hello and welcome to RPG Backtrack, your regular deep dive into your favorite RPGs. We are a production of RPGamer.com, bringing you such fine podcasts like RPG Cast, your weekly RPG news show, Q&A Quest, your weekly RPG feedback show, and us, your bi-weekly RPG nostalgia show. I'm your host, Kelly Ryan, and with me, as always, my podcast partner in crime, the Tatsuya to my Maya, Mr. Matt Mason.
Oh, I just thought I was Mark, but good enough.
Matt Mason danced crazy.
Oh, they didn't have a dancing game for these games, so
Yes, they
I
did.
have no
No, but
idea.
that is one of the ways you can negotiate with demons, and that is one of the things that we'll say. Just Mark danced crazy.
To have any spin-offs for these games would have to assume that Atlas acknowledges that these games exist, and they
We're
don't.
gonna get into this, but every time they've done it, it has been a financial losing proposition. So I don't fully blame them.
Wait, it did. Sorry, because I've been recently playing Mass Effect 2. Did they reference that badly
I don't think
translated
so.
line in
I
Mass
don't
Effect
think
2?
so.
No, because there's like, that one scene with Thane where he's like, his son came up and said, "Dan, want to dance crazy."
Yeah, I think that's more just like a convergent evolution.
Okay.
Hmm.
It would have been funnier if it was.
It would have been, but we do not live in such a realm, I don't think.
No, it was funny me pulling the dates from the Wikipedia article and seeing the timeline. And it's like, okay, Persona 3 starts in 2006, and then Persona 4, and then just nothing but spin-offs and stuff all the
Yeah,
way
five,
down.
five seems to have rebooted at least twice during its development.
Meanwhile, there's at least 6 years between Eternal Punishment and Persona 3. So at least it's good to know that they thought to do a sequel to Persona, but then they decided to milk them for all they were worth.
Can't
But
believe we're
not
not talking
these.
about SMT if Persona Zero.
I have it on my I have a tab open for it so that I can briefly mention it, but
Gross.
It's a bad game.
I've, I I've heard mixed.
The auto battle is terrible in that game. Don't use
the
it.
the entire like way that you get new, they're not called personas, but they're personas. The way you get them is deranged. They would not figure out a good way to get personas until like 3.
Well, we'll get into that, but if it wasn't apparent, we are talking Persona 1 and 2A and 2B, or Persona 2
Sumi Tobatsu.
Eternal Punishment and Innocent Sin. It's weird talking about Persona 1 and 2 being 3 games.
I do love that, like, depending upon what kind of pedant you're talking to, there are like 3 games that could be Persona 3.
It's just as convoluted as Shin Megami Tensei series usually is when it comes to spin-offs and what goes with what.
Mm-hmm.
How about we just say they are all Persona 3?
No,
And-
Persona 3 is not good enough for that.
And they never got that Revelations moniker to stick in the US.
For the 2 games they attempted it on.
I think 3, because Demons, which 2
Revelations the Demon Slayer, Revelations Persona, Revelations the Demon Slayer. I know that Jack Brothers came out at the same time, but it's not Revelations monikered, so I'm not sure what the third one you're thinking of is.
Okay, I could have sworn that it was Revelations moniker,
No, I'm pretty sure it's just called Jack Brothers.
but who knows? Maybe I'm having a Mandela effect.
Yeah, I'm looking at the English box art. It just says Jack Brothers.
By the way, who all's here?
Who could it be?
We have got Robert,
Believe
that
it or
voice.
not, it's just me. Oh, sorry.
We've got Robert, that voice that's asked who all was here.
Hello.
We've got Ryan Costa, aka Dowlandar.
There are many revelations involving Persona that will occur tonight.
We have got David.
I keep interrupting people.
That's okay. You're knowledgeable. We need you. And
Yes.
we've got Scar,
Hola, fellow butterflies.
aka Ryan Radcliffe. Yeah, I must have Mandela effect seeing the revelations on the Jack Brothers box art, because I am not seeing it now, and I could have sworn I saw it back in the day, but
You might
who
have seen it. It
knows?
might have shown up in an advertisement before they just like cut it. But yeah, that was the brief period where they were like, Shin Megami Tensei is a little too Japanese, but Revelations kind of brings off the vague like religiosity here.
It was in a Tips and Tricks magazine where somebody had made the connection between the 2 games, and little did we know that it was a whole sub-series in Japan that we never got.
Yeah, until we got it.
Mhm. And now we can't get rid of it.
But do we want to?
No,
Not
I like
necessarily. I just I've bitched about this on RPG Cast ad nauseum. Ever since it's become a yearly franchise, it's kind of gone a
Is
little
it
bit
yearly?
stale. Just about.
I
Like,
don't know.
think-
I've been waiting for Persona 6 for a long time.
Not Persona per se, but just SMT as a whole. If a spinoff isn't coming out, a mainline
In
game is, or a remake.
in Japan, that was kind of always the case. Like you had, because like back then you would get Devil Summoner and Rondo, Majin Tensei, like they were just kind of like pumping like which we'll get to. Persona itself, Megami Ibunoroku Persona, Be Your True
Mhm.
Mind.
You're speaking my Super Nintendo pain language over here. I'm playing or have played through all of the SMT titles on the Super Nintendo.
There's so many of them, and they're not very fun.
I play bad games so you don't have to.
Ah, yes. A quote I said while playing SMT1.
I say
one
that
actually
internally whenever I
did.
do reviews.
I love that. I love that Shin Megami Tensei 1 has an official English localization that only existed on iOS for like a year and a half.
Hmm
Awful, dreadful.
Shin
But
Megami Tensei 2 is actually my favorite game in the mainline series, and I wish that they would do a more modern
that's wild. That is a
update.
motherfucker of a game.
It was not easy to get through, but I had a good time with it.
Between one, two, and
Fucking-
if, I think two was the least
Like,
painful.
yeah, if you're talking classic SMTs, I'd probably play 2 before I played most of the others. But
Well, why don't we play some Aria of the Soul, equip our personas and take a quick break so that we can equip our personas and then come back and we seem to be chomping at the bit, so we'll dive right in.
a bad compatibility with all these Arcana.
And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we're talking about the OG Persona series on the PlayStation 1 and PSP. One console considerably more beloved than the handheld. Persona 1 released in 1996 on the original PlayStation and then was re-released on the PSP in 2009. Fun fact, what did I have to do? I ended up having to buy a second PSP to be able to play legit games because I had a hacked PSP that was in a perpetual state of one specific firmware. And I was dying to. Oh wait, no, that's not what I did. I think I ended up downloading an ISO to be able to play that game, even though I had bought it. There was a point where I ended up having a legit PSP and a hacked PSP so that I could still play new stuff while continuing to enjoy my hacked PSP back in the day. Because at that point nobody wanted them anyway, so you could still get them for fairly cheap. Persona, by the way, is a spinoff of Shin Megami Tensei If, which was a what if scenario. I guess where the events of Shin Megami Tensei 1 didn't happen, but then it all took place in a high school. And David and Scar, you guys probably know better than I do. Was that spinoff really popular, which is why it spun off into
I don't think it was like absurdly popular. It was like it did okay, and video games were cheap to make.
okay.
They're basically like, hey, let's just try something out and see what happens.
Yeah, this is low risk because like even the cost of manufacture has now gone down. Just do whatever. 10 people can make this in less than a year.
The complete opposite of what game development is like now.
Yeah.
The good
Let's
old
not
days
think
where we
about
could have a 40-hour RPG and just be like, this could be made by 10 people. Go have fun.
This game was made by 10 people in 13 months.
But
Now these games will be made by 10 AI tools.
No. Okay, that is going out the window. God damn you.
But so we all played Persona 1 from what I understood with just our pre-game talking.
We're gonna
Which
play
version-
Persona? What? Are you stupid?
Which version did we all play?
I played both.
Okay, because
I played a little of both.
ended up finishing both.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I played both. I got lucky, went to a GameStop one day. I think I had heard about Persona Online, and it just so happened that they had used copies of Persona 1 and 2 there for relatively cheap, and they were in very good condition, and I scooped them up and was able to play them both.
So mad.
Big
I enjoyed
fan.
Persona 2 a lot more.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Revelations on PlayStation, and I played a little of the PSP version very recently because I always thought it was actually a PlayStation 3 portable box, not a PlayStation portable box. So I'm like, oh, I own this.
I have a love-hate relationship with the PlayStation 1 game because while I enjoyed it back in the day, It is infamous for not only that jank localization, but just being kind of jank in general.
That world
And
map is one of the most unnavigable masses of gray blob I have ever seen.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I just had more toleration to play bad games or badly designed games back then if the story was somewhat redeemable.
Hmm.
I rented this in like 1998 because the local rental store just had it and was just like consternated at like why the map is like this.
Wait,
I
I know I bought it because it was an RPG. I'm trying to remember why I bought it, but I know I like what possessed me to actually buy it, not just because of the fact it was an RPG. Because my mom was very strict about what type of games we were allowed to play, so we only actually played RPGs in the house.
This is the kind of thing that ends with someone having to play Beyond the Beyond.
I've
part
done
of
that.
part
I'm
of
so
why
sorry.
the part of why the game was on my radar was because I used to read Tips and Tricks magazine back then, which as the
Was it
name's exact.
advertising how to unlock Chris?
Yeah, I mean, exactly as the name says on the tin, it was a magazine devoted to cheat codes because before DLC kids, that's what we did with the games was put cheat codes in. But they also had like in-depth strategy guides for various games each issue, and one of the strategy guides they had, or in the Final Fantasy VII issue that I bought, it had a strategy guide for this game. And I just remember
Um,
seeing all of the interesting artwork and kind of weird, janky looking maps and was like, what is this Revelations Persona game? And got into it and saw that game at a on a shelf at a EB Games, but it was still EB Games, and ended up picking it up. And thanks to having the strategy guide, I sort of had an idea of what I was doing. But man, that strategy guide didn't match what was going on in the game really at all. Or
It
if it
didn't
did,
prepare you.
yeah, it didn't prepare me for what I was in for.
you are not E.
So, that's how Persona got on my radar. And then looking it up on the internet later on, it was like, wait, this is part of a series that has been going on since the 80s and has you summoning devils and fighting God. Well, no wonder this didn't come out in the US.
Yep, it started with the boy getting bullied, so he created a demon summoning program, and yeah, that's how the SMT series started off.
There's a very extensive article about the whole series on Hardcore Gaming 101, which is how I learned about the entirety of the Mega 10 series.
Yeah,
Megami Tensei Digital Devil story.
because back
But
then, people didn't know about the internet, and they could just assumed that you could summon demons through it.
yeah,
Who can
and
say?
and
There are
Listen,
still people who
social
believe you can summon demons through it.
listen, social media forces demons into my life at all times.
I mean, yeah, it is very demonic.
but yeah, the PlayStation version had a very infamous localization. Does anybody know what was going on with that?
So I remember listening to some statements that were made by someone who worked at Atlas back in the PS2 era who was quite clear in saying the record keeping at the company was bad enough that even they weren't quite sure what was going on with some of these localizations.
Huh.
But as near as we can tell from the object itself, the game was changed in part to avoid controversy, in part to try to broaden its audience, and the Snow Queen quest was dropped because they just wanted it out by Christmas.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, there's an article I read that talks to one of the translators for Kids Entertainment, which is very widely panned, of course, for its terrible localizations and cultural changes. And they came out and said, and the guy was like, we did it this way not because we wanted to, but because we had to get it on TV.
hmm
So I mean,
Like,
yes, they are still lambasted to this day for how bad those localizations are, but at the same time, without it, we wouldn't be in the state we are today with anime and Japanese video gaming coming over.
yeah,
Did
let's
did this
just
come out before Final Fantasy VII?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, because before Final Fantasy VII came out on the PlayStation, um, Sony was very anti JRPG. notoriously so. And pretty much anything, well, it was part anti-RPG, part anti. They didn't want anything on their system that was too Japanese, which also explains why they did their damnedest to try to make this game look like it took place in the United States.
Another thing worthy of note is that Revelations Persona on PS1 was rated K-A, kids to adults, the pre-everyone rating. This was definitely a desire to be like, we just want as many people to be allowed to play this as possible. We have removed the scene where a student in like a fit of fury turns into what appears to be a giant penis.
Thank you, Mara.
It wasn't even Mara, it was just a generic giant penis. But
Hasn't
it's
that
always
happened to all of us?
not yet.
But it's always important to point out any game that's pre Final Fantasy VII, because before that did gangbusters on the PS1, RPGs were very discouraged. And
It was there's a handful. Many of them are bad.
I'm pretty sure that was a Bernie Stolar rule.
Like Stolar is out of the picture shortly after launch, but like Sony as a rule was like interested in games that made the PS1 look technically impressive and would generally avoid letting 2D games through on the basis that they looked old. And I'm gonna be real with you, Persona 1 is fucking ugly.
Yeah,
But
it was terrible.
But broadly, like there is enough 3D that probably wasn't what was holding it back.
I think honestly, I mean, let's face it, it looks ugly, but the way they did the world map was
Probably
actually
benefited them.
it's dumb, but is it also technically not like, oh, this
It
is
fit
it.
within what Sony was looking for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going for. Yeah, thank you, David.
Yeah, this is not like how Capcom had to play hardball and say, if you try to tell us we can't put Mega Man on the English PS1, we will simply not release Resident Evil 2 in America.
Aren't there quite a few demons that ended up saying, "Oh, aren't you glad you're playing this on a Sony PlayStation? It is an amazing console," and then they join your party? I know they say it about Atlas, but I swear they said it about Sony sometimes too.
I don't recall that, but it's been many years since I played Revelations Persona.
What is this, a Konami game? The Psycho Man is talking to us?
We're on Blu-ray now, Snake.
I think one of the more interesting bits about this particular entry is that it was the only Persona one that was first person. They quickly dumped that.
Yeah, I mean that was this
Go fuck
SMT thing.
themselves.
Yeah, that was an SMT thing, and they're like, you know what? Let's dump that.
It's a spin-off. It does not need to maintain all of these particulars about gameplay. So yeah, this first one, like to do a quick like bit of synopsis and stage setting. We've got a bunch of students from St. Hermellin's High School who are all going to the hospital to visit their friend Maki / I think she's Mary. In the original localization. And they're all going to go visit her at the hospital when bad things are afoot, somehow related to Maki / Mary. Oh no, demons are everywhere. Let's talk to them.
Which was always fun.
Yeah,
Until it wasn't.
It was always fun.
The demon negotiation mechanic kind of blew my mind back in the day.
It was interesting. I think it's actually advertised on the back of the box, if I'm remembering correctly. 100+ hours of pulse pounding gameplay. You would have to be making a meal out of Persona 1 to get to 100 hours.
I came pretty close, but that's because I got stuck in the mall for like 30 hours.
Fight your way to one of many endings. This version has 2. Morph any member of your party into a more powerful persona. I don't know what that means.
Don't worry about it.
I'm worried about it. But yes, like this is so yeah, like at the hospital, the game bifurcates into 2. If you continue just sort of doing what the game is telling you to do, you will go on what's referred to as the CBEC quest, which CBEC is like, I forget what it stands for, but it's a I think it's a company. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And yeah, the CBEC, the company that is like at the center of all of this, and like how they're experimenting on your
Reality.
how they're experimenting on reality by like experimenting with Maki, and you meet the incredibly named CEO Guido Sardinia. I believe he's Takahisa Kandori in
Isn't he
Japanese.
the one that looks like Tony Montoya in Scarface?
Montana. A little.
Eh,
He's very much he very much gives off gangster vibes.
Yeah.
But yes, Guido Sardinia, and like the Seabeck quest ends up having a lot more to do with the future games, but there is in the Japanese version and the PSP version a second quest where if you wander around St. Hermelins and trigger some plot flags, you trigger the Snow Queen quest, which is kind of a harder quest that ends up being like an alternate run through the game that's somewhat shorter, like, but a few harder dungeons with some timing element to them. Like there's meat on this game's bones, and I wish there wasn't. Uh, this is a long game, and it's very, very like, oh God, I forgot this. This game's box has a little symbol on it to let you know it's an RPG.
Yep, that's why I bought it.
A lot of Atlas games back then.
I
that
forgot
did.
about those, but yeah, Revelations, Persona, like you have there is a lot of interesting experimentation in this. You have a rotating fifth party member slot that is rotating based on were you smart enough to realize that you could just tell someone no, and did you talk to a random shopkeeper, but make sure to only talk to them once because talking to them a second time unsets an event flag. Yeah, this is a game with a lot of esoteric nonsense in it. You're going to run through a lot of first-person dungeons where you can fall through the goddamn floor, sometimes in the dark. Love that. Can you tell I don't like this very much?
It was a jank game. I'm not gonna lie.
You're speaking my language. I love almost everything you're talking about. Now, of course, as a 38-year-old's a little different than when I was 13, I had a lot more time to deal with this stuff.
Yeah, the first time I played this, I was 7 and hated it because I could barely read, and also the map was unnavigable. Then the second time I played it was when it came out on PSP. Went back through it, I managed to get through both versions eventually, like the PS1 version eventually, just for completionism. There's a bunch of weird changes to that game's balance. They lowered the encounter rate, they increased the amount of EXP you get. They did a bunch of stuff to try to make the game more friendly, and everything they did didn't really address why the game is mean, because the game is mean for dungeon reasons rather than balance reasons.
And they didn't have a difficulty slider?
Nah.
No.
I don't, because I know
it's an RPG in 1996. It probably has an option screen.
Those didn't exist in the 90s.
Well, no, I'm talking the PSP version because I know the
PSP version, nah.
Very minimal upgrades to the PSP version.
Yeah,
PSP was the console for the hardcore people, so they didn't make easy mode on any of the games for that.
Well, I'm only asking because it's been more than a decade since I've played the PSP version, and I know they added it to a difficulty adjustment to Innocent Sin, which was
is funny because Innocent Sin is a baby game, but
yeah,
but yeah, like for Persona, like on PSP, like for Japanese players, there really wasn't that much exciting about this release. It was just kind of the game again. For English players, it had a lot more to sell because it's like now you can play the full game, and we haven't like doodled over the art.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we referenced earlier, the English version changed everyone's names to be like English, like native English names, like Nate and Brad and Mark, instead of like Nanjo, and I forget what Brown's actual name is. I only remember his nickname, or like that sounds right. Yeah, Uesugi.
There was also the kid who was black, who they completely
that's Mark.
Mark, yeah.
Masao, who retained the nickname Mark in the English PSP version, but otherwise nothing. But yeah, like they did some like they made Mark, they completely redrew him to be black. Everyone else had basically just had a hair dye job and an edit to their skin tone. The skin tone is clearly designed to make them look white. It mostly like sort of makes them look like they have albinism. They're very pale, and it just looks like crudely edited art. It looks bad. And honestly, Persona 1 doesn't have the most amazing art to begin with, in my opinion. So this was not helping. But yeah, like they did a lot of things on the surface level to try to make it more palatable, but like ultimately, like I think the things that are actually wrong with Persona 1 are mostly weaknesses of the original material. There's a lot of really interesting ideas in the plot, but like Persona 1 only kind of scratches the surface on them. The balance of the game is obnoxious for any character that isn't doing DPS. In a crude attempt. Oh, good.
It's almost impossible to arrange the party members on the grid in a way where they could all be doing damage because of how the
yeah, at least with
range,
basic attacks.
So
range works.
I was lucky at least, maybe, or I fluked, or I was better at games than I thought, whatever one of the three. I found that every roughly 45 minutes of gameplay, a character that was over leveled started to suck, and a character that was under leveled started to be amazing. So I constantly had a balanced party because everyone was good at different parts.
I ended up like brute forcing it because like to get to the meat and potatoes of what is going on with the system. Basically, Persona 1 tries to make you use everyone by giving different amounts of EXP based on like an opaque measure of how much a character is considered to have contributed to the battle. But it tends to severely undervalue support roles. It's really only valuing like, did you do damage? And so characters that are like primarily healing and buffs tend to rapidly fail to gain levels. Eventually, what I personally ended up doing was this hideous brute force fashion where I found a persona where everyone could at least use it that had a strong attack spell and grinded them up individually. But there's probably better ways to do that. That is simply the path of least resistance I personally found every time I've played the game. But it's a frustrating system. I get why they were doing it, and like it's evident as evidenced by the different things we're hearing. It does work for some players. It does work for some people. But
I have always found it fascinating because of to me, a lot of the times RPGs will just have doing combat. You finish, you get your 10 XP, and it just felt routine. So playing this changed that.
Yeah, you definitely end up having to care more about what happens at the end of a fight. I'll give it that. Something I just skated right past. Every character, if you're more familiar with the modern personas, every character in Personas 1 and 2 can equip can equip multiple personas. That is just how it works. The Velvet Room is a communal space. And the way that they differentiate is that each character has different arcana they are better suited to. Most like weirdly and frustratingly in this first game, the Devil Arcana, only one character is good with it, and he is extremely hidden. But yeah, like, so if you decide that you want to cycle personas among people to suit different purposes, you are allowed to do that because, each of those personas is not like actually exclusive. As in later games, they would term it as everyone being a wild card.
And I kind of appreciate that they simplified it in later games to only have the one character that you have to worry about, because trying to maintain that balance was a nightmare. Yeah,
I would say all three of these games with like the everyone's a wild card situation end up with this problem where like some combination of getting new personas and shuffling them around is a huge fucking pain in the ass. And so like various like kind of like unintended strategies end up being predominant among players just because it's just like you end up wanting to deal with the system as little as possible. So yeah, I forget what the exact mechanism you use to get new personas in this first one is, because I'm so much more used to playing 2, which also has a shitty way of getting personas.
Negotiation.
Yeah, it's in negotiation. I just don't remember. Do they give them to you directly, or is it something that you
I think it's the tarot
given
cards.
directly.
Oh, it
Okay,
is?
They
that's
give
what
you
I thought.
The tarot card directly. In the second one, they give you
They
in
give
the
you
first
Arcana
one,
cards.
it's the yeah. In the first one, it's the demon itself. Will be like Jack Frost will say, "I'll give you my card," and then you just have Jack Frost.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I remembered, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, like this system is probably less obnoxious than 2's, but also you need to change your personas more than you do in 2. So it comes out in the wash. Um, but yeah, like this is a cool game conceptually. There's a lot of things I like about it, but it's also just really like you have to be willing to forgive a lot of just like, well, that was irritating, but I got to we'll see what happens next. Like even down to like the narrative is interesting, but you kind of wish that they did more with it. There's like, because you'll end up getting like 10 minutes of narrative between each like hour long slog through a first person dungeon with some horrible new trap that makes you wonder what you did to offend the developer. Like, you know, if you're a hardcore dungeon crawler sicko, this probably has a lot more appeal to you than it clearly does to me. Like if you like drawing maps, you know, the PSP version just draws a map for you. I don't think the PS1 version does, but you know, like if you like mapping and that kind of dungeon exploration, this probably has a fair bit of appeal, but you gotta like that kind of thing.
I want to say it did, because even like the SNES SMT games, which were the more first person
True enough.
they did
Maybe I just assume the
auto maps.
PS1 version is worse than I remember.
The map just may have been a bit more janky.
Quite possible, or it just
The-
might be the more recent version I played was the PSP version. So
The
If I
world map,
okay.
the world map on Revelations Persona, I remember being a lot more difficult than the PSP, because I played at least the first
Yes.
few hours of the PSP version to be able to go like, oh, what does this remind me of my memories in that? And
Mhm.
there wasn't a map that I can recall for Revelations, because I remember slogging my way through until getting close to the mall.
Mhm.
Then I got stuck in the mall earlier than I was supposed to, and this was, for me anyway, pre-internet. So
Mhm.
I eventually went back when I'm like, wait, there's a guide for this, and I tried to figure out how to move, and then I saw the labyrinth that was, and went, there's no way I would have ever figured this out without the internet.
I remember. Okay.
There was a GameFAQs guide that I used, but like all GameFAQs guides back in the day, it was very rudimentary. Control F was your only friend, and even then, good luck finding any relevant information.
A lot of those early game FAQs guides are designed so that if you aren't following them
Exactly.
moment to moment, like all of the directions are entirely relativistic. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be turning right from. I remember, for me, a formative memory with Persona 1 when I rented it as a child was like figuring out where something was on the world map, and then realizing I needed to cross the street, and realizing that I was going to, in the process of finding a crosswalk in game, lose track of where I was and have to keep looking again.
Yep.
Because you cannot jaywalk. The PSP version replaces the world map with one that looks more like the Innocence and Eternal Punishment world map.
Oh, I'm probably incorrect in my memories for this, but there's a part of me that thought in Revelations, once you reached a certain level, you stopped having random combat on the world map, or it started coming in later than I thought it did, one way or the other. I remember
Yeah, I
being
think it
lost
comes
on the
in
world
later.
map, and I was like, okay, where am I going? And then out of nowhere, like 15 hours into the game, for me at least, I'm like, why am I getting to combat all the time? There was no enemies here before.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
the PlayStation 1 version did not start with combat. It was something that started later on the world map.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the demons spread throughout the town.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like when you start the game, there's no demons in the in the high school.
Yeah,
And
and St.
then
Melon.
it's considered, oh, it's a safe place from demons. And then there's a plot point where it's like, oh, the school has now become a full-on dungeon, and there's demons everywhere.
Yeah,
Which is about as far as I usually got in the game.
yeah. It's like I mentioned, it's interesting. Like it begins Persona's like interest in Jungian psychology. There's some fun stuff happening in this plot, but it's ultimately pretty thin. And I think, and this is going to surprise a certain strain of person, but Persona 1 has probably the worst romance for the main character in any of these games.
There was romance.
There is. Right at the end of the game, Maki declares that she's like in love with the protagonist like 90% of the way through the game when there's been no hints of this. And then the good ending like has the implication that she's going to go off and have a date with the protagonist. And I remember finishing the game for the first time and being like, what the fuck was that? Where did that come from?
Just comes out of nowhere.
Didn't have time to express her feelings because the world was ending. She had to wait till
she was busy being in the hospital, and then the world ended. Yeah, it just feels very vacuous.
As with a lot of games, at least when I was younger, like, see, I didn't beat the game, but you saying that, I'm like, my protagonist was in love with Mary in the first place. I used her; she was my main character, basically. I wanted to go save her in the hospital. I wanted to save her here. That made sense. So I'm
guess
sure
that's
there's
probably
worse
the feeling.
romances, I think.
I'm sure they wanted you to. I'm sure that's the feeling they wanted the player to have.
They did make it very vague, though. It wasn't something that was overt. Like the PSP version, at least, I remember when I played through the first couple of hours, Mark's like, "We have to do this." I'm like, "Okay." Mark has a crush on Mary, and I'm like, "Did that happen in Revelations, or did Mark just have generic reasons for doing things because it was
No, it's always it was in there, and it's there in Revelations as well.
Okay.
But yeah, like that's the entire thing. Like you kind of there's a bunch of that where like the game like on its fringes, like has these bits of characterization that it doesn't care to really get deeper into, and so you end up with a cast that's like interesting, but like more like they're not sufficiently sketched out to get super attached to unless you're filling in the blanks for the game. And that's like, for some people that'll work. For me, that was just like, I don't know why I'm here. But yeah, like a lot of interesting ideas. How much you can gel with it will depend upon like your patience for dungeon crawlers and how much you're willing to like meet the game on its own terms. I do remember the funniest thing to me is that the way to get the ultimate personas in the game is that you arbitrarily responded correctly to like 5 questions spaced throughout the entire game. I didn't know that and got them by accident the first time through.
That's impressive.
Because they're really arbitrary. Like you just run into yourself playing an arcade game in the last dungeon, and he's like, yeah, great job on these answers. Here's some personas.
Honestly, that is the most David thing I have ever heard you say.
It was a pure accident. I don't know what happened.
But somehow it fits, from hanging out with you for so many years now.
Jesus.
It just
I've developed a reputation.
It's just something I can see being like, yeah, that just fits how you play.
See, I was unlucky. I was unlucky. I got bad ending. Ending first.
There's separately. There's like a question midway through the Seaback quest that determines whether you'll get the good ending or the bad ending. I believe you skip a boss fight if you answer it correctly.
Yeah, I think doesn't Nate or Kay get his ultimate persona? Doesn't it turn out and end up being his butler that gets like murdered at the hospital?
Something like that. Yeah. His weird butler relationship.
He's very mean to Butler. His butler then dies, and then he's very sorrowful and sad. And
I will say,
shows up again and saves him.
For those interested in the broader Persona canon, Nate/K Nanjo is actually one of the most direct links between Personas 1 and 3. because the Kirijo group in 3 is explicitly stated to be a branch of the Nanjo group from 1.
Well, they even say that the midnight
Yeah, they
hour,
bring it up.
yeah, it was a result of an experiment of this machine from the first game. So it is
Yes,
very
it is you have to be connected. You have to have like brain rot of Persona 1 to remember how these these interconnect. But yes, Persona 1 and 3 are actually fairly deeply connected because of that. But yeah, the whole thing's pretty like the Persona 2 would honestly end up doing a lot to endear me to these characters, even though they only show up on the fringes of it for the most part. That is one of the cute things that you will see if you play Persona 1 and then barrel into Persona 2. It's that the Persona 1 cast are all in Persona 2 just randomly going about their lives post Persona 1. They've all had redesigns that make them much more interesting to look at. And
isn't there a scene in Persona 2 where they're all hanging out at a bar, or they all go to meet up somewhere?
I think that does occur. I can't remember if that's fully on screen or not. But yeah, like it is fun to see them after Persona 1, where like Persona 2 especially actually drags up characters from both Persona 1 and If are just running around a lot in Persona 2. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Persona 1 was, my first foray into the SMT / Persona series.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed the whole demon summoning and just, being able to pick and choose from all these different characters from all sorts of different mythologies and religions. I thought that was pretty cool. The whole tarot card,
Nike,
Arcana
that's
thing
a shoe
was,
brand.
it was fun. It was interesting. It definitely had me intrigued to play the game. It was very frustrating because like you had mentioned with battles, that it's kind of obtuse, and I found abilities that just hit all that hit the enemy, the demons in that specific dungeon's weakness. And I just abused that until there was a demon that repelled it, and then I either ran away from that demon, or I talked to the demon and tried to get them to join me, or gave them money so that they could let me go, and went on my merry way.
I need to bring up one more thing that makes this game like weird, that can make this game weirdly confusing to returning players if you're familiar with more recent SMT games. This game has 20 elements. I believe 10 like magic elements and 10 technology elements. And some of them will have spells where it's like, oh, I know that spell. That's that element. No, it's not. Not in this one, it isn't. Like, I think the Megiddo line are nuclear in this.
Mm-hmm.
That fucked me up the first time I got that bounced back at me and killed my entire party. So make sure to be aware of how some things are different in the later games.
Yeah, I just remember being very frustrated at trying to figure out, well, why is Bufu ice and Aji fire? It just none of it made any sense to me. And now that I've played a billion SMT games, it's kind of ingrained, but not so much when I was.
Now you have to deal with the ones that are of different elements in this one because there's so many more of them.
Yeah.
It was par for the course for me because, Phantasy Star had different names for their elemental magic. This did, I just had to just learn and adapt, basically.
But I always appreciated that status effects actually work in these games.
Yeah, and they're a pain in the ass, too, especially if you're not near... is it a fairy fountain in Persona 1?
Yeah, fairy fountain.
Yeah.
If you're not near a healing section, good luck.
So I'm looking at a chart, and okay, they are not sorted the way I remembered. I'm looking at like a fan chart of this, but there are dozens of elements in this: earth, fire, ice, wind, electricity, nuclear, blast, gravity, expel, miracle, bless, prayer, death, curse, nerve, occult, other. And then melee attacks are also sub-split into like 5 different elements as well. So
And many of
Be
them still
careful.
exist in Persona today.
They do, but many of them will have bounced around a little bit. But yeah, so if you do decide to play this, don't assume that any given spell you're familiar with does exactly what you remember it doing.
Also have tons of patience.
Yeah, like I think what we've outlined is clear. Like you're gonna have to meet this game on its terms to have fun with it. There are cool things about this. I've been extremely mean about this game. I don't like it very much, but I don't want to pretend there's nothing cool about this game. There's actually a lot that's cool about this game. But if you are going to play it, you really have to accept that it's gonna be kind of a motherfucker about it.
Playing it in
And,
2026 is different.
At the time of its release, having RPGs that took place in modern times were extremely rare. So
This and
had that-
Earthbound, I'm playing them both.
yeah.
All the modern times RPGs together at last.
So it had that going for it at the time too.
But yeah, like it was a very unusual game to get at all at the time. Like even in the compromised form we got it. This was an unusual game to attempt localizing.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get the next one.
Yeah, let's take a brief musical interlude and then come back with the enigma of the trilogy. Is it a trilogy? I think
Yes,
so.
I would
since
say
it
that
involves-
one through both parts of two forms a fairly like these are all like the clash between Philemon and Nyarlathotep.
Is that how you say his name?
Nyarlathotep? Yes. It's an old Lovecraft thing. Don't worry about it.
I've been mispronouncing it this entire time.
Well, we'll be right back with some innocent sinning.
Live with valid memory, experience self-consciousness. I'm just one player, keep learning other code track. The hatred thoughts just don't stop. I see free way from there. The world is all I said to. All my right is meant to ring me burn. Together you could close my ray of light. Ready for freedom nowhere. All my right is meant to ring me burn. Just
And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we are now talking about Persona 2 Innocent Sin, released in 1999, the original release, and then 2011 for the PSP. Fun fact about the PSP release is when Atlas sent out its email newsletter in 2011, it made it look like an email from 1999 with Tail Concerto in the email, and I think something else from Atlas in 1999, and made some joke about no other games being released in 1999. As a throwback to the fact that we didn't get this one, and given that it was both, well, I say Dreamcast launch and Final Fantasy VIII launch, but I'm sure there was a lot more factors to why we didn't get that particular game.
Fun fact, due to the aforementioned like bad record keeping at Atlas, they don't know why either.
Some say it had to do with the Japanese stuff again, and others say that it was because they thought that we were going to get offended by the Nazi imagery.
That's why I think it didn't come out. I think that they thought Americans were little babies and we couldn't handle some swastikas and beating up Hitler. Little did they know, we love beating up Hitler.
One of my guesses has always been that Persona 1 probably, like, the Revelations branding had underperformed, and they probably wanted some time to reevaluate how to approach selling these in the US, especially in a game that would be less 3D than before.
Because didn't Persona 1 not sell very well either in the US? Like,
I imagine not.
Not particularly. I mean, there's a reason you didn't see any more games with the Revelations branding.
Yeah. So
like that, Demon Slayer, and nothing else.
Right. The fact that we even got the second game, you know, another Persona in the US is just kind of miraculous to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luckily, they came through for us in the end with the PSP release. Unfortunately, it was toward the end of the PSP's
and
lifetime.
didn't we only get one of the one of them
Yes.
for the PSP instead of
Yeah,
both?
because Eternal Punishment came out way late, and there was no way it was gonna do
That was an
anything
end of
here.
2012. That was an end of 2012 release in Japan. Allegedly a nightmare to code under the hood. So, given the amount of time it would have taken, that probably would have been a late 2013 release on the PSP in the US.
Yeah.
I kind of see why they didn't bother.
People were using
Especially
the
because-
PSPs as paperweights back, in 2013.
Especially because if you look at the sales data, Innocent Sin sold worse than 1 significantly. The Persona 2 games, every time they re-release them, eat absolute shit for sales numbers.
Mhm.
Which is unfortunate because
It's
Persona
tragic.
2
I love them.
is fun, both of them, Innocent
Yes.
Sin and Eternal Punishment. When we got Eternal Punishment in the US on the PlayStation 1, so that's the game I played, but on the internet, there was always the rumblings that, there's another side to Persona 2 called Innocent Sin that, we didn't get in the US audience markets. So I had been wanting to play it for so long. We finally got it on the PSP, and I wasn't disappointed when I got back into it because I really enjoyed Eternal Punishment, but it seemed like there was half
feels
of the
like the
coin
second
missing.
half of something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There was a fan translation for the longest time for Innocent Sin, but good luck getting a PlayStation emulator to run on a PC back then and have it actually not suck. Though I did have that particular fan translation on my hacked PSP, and then
Yep,
when I
played that
found out,
version first, then play the official one.
yeah, when I found out that it was getting an official release, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna wait for the official release, and that's what I did.
Fun fact, the Persona 2 Eternal Punishment came with a bonus disc which had characters from Innocent Sin in it. So you can watch this disc, and it's like an animated little short that has some characters in it, and you're like, who are these people? Because
Who could you possibly be?
we didn't really know who they were.
So,
What is an APG?
slight spoiler, but following that kind of comedic aspect, I didn't make it very far in Eternal Punishment, but I owned the game. As a matter of fact, I made it so not far in Eternal Punishment that I never saw the cover character. So when I played Innocent Sin, I'm like, why is the Eternal Judgment Girl here?
That's wild, because Maya is the main character of Eternal Punishment.
All I remember of Eternal Punishment is going to a spot where you meet Joker and then not being able to beat Joker.
You didn't
And
summon your persona hard enough.
Pretty much, I guess. Like I remember, like I was a kid, so it was
Persona
like
come here.
3-4 hours, and I couldn't beat the first time you meet Joker, so that was like 30 minutes into the game, and I went, I'm just going back to Revelations.
You know what? Honestly, I think I ended up in the same boat on it, where I got like to that same fight, and I was just like, I can't do this, and I got fed up, and I never went back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Sin has the Eternal Punishment Girl.
I think Persona 2 is a little bit more forgiving than Persona 1, so that's kind of wild that the first boss was a stonewall for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Persona 2, I've always thought of as just like it's still not like the easiest game sometimes, but it is like, there's a lot less to consider. There are fewer elements. Like combat is kind of always on auto unless you tell it not to on the PS1 versions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no longer a question of positioning. Like the battlefield is an infinite plane that everyone just sort of moves into position to do whatever they were intending to do.
The demon summoning is a lot more streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, demon conversation actually changed a fair bit between the two versions, because like in the PS1 version of Innocent Sin, each character had 4 things they could say to a demon at any given moment, and I seem to recall in Eternal Punishment dropped that down to 1, and then Innocent Sin on PSP backported that into Innocent Sin, so that simplified what they could do.
Because I only played the PSP version, so
Yeah.
I got the extremely simplified.
The PSP version is very I do love some of the things that you can do. Like the protagonist has options like giving a manly speech or making sound effects at the enemy. Like those are fun. One of the things that is actually really cool that you can do is you can have more than one person talk. And as the game goes on and these characters start to know each other better, what they'll do if you try to send them in together will change.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, initially, Tatsuya, the protagonist of Persona 2, of Innocent Sin, he's standoffish. He doesn't really want to get close to anyone. And so, initially, if you try to send him off to talk with someone else, along with someone else, he'll basically wave them off and like it'll treat it as though he's just going by himself. But as you go further and like he starts to open up to the other characters, he starts having interactions that he can have where the two of you, he and other characters can actually do the demon conversations together, and they're kind of reflective of where that relationship is throughout the game.
One of my favorite interactions actually involved when Tetsuya didn't always wave off Lisa. And
Yes.
I made it
Nico.
an assumption that Pixie was like, because they're from the Pixie lovers, they like romance kind of stuff. So they just kept laughing at Lisa, who's like, come on, why are you paying attention to me the entire time?
Yes, that is poor Ginkgo's like entire thing. She's actually a really interesting character because she is the only real like push Atlas ever made to like kind of do something with the idea of like how a mixed race Japanese person is viewed in society, where like all of her friends assume that she must speak like English or Chinese because, you know, she has blonde hair and her dad is fucking Steven Seagal. But she's like,
he's
no,
the Japanese. He loves the Japanese culture,
he is,
right?
he is a Japanophile, and his fucking like character portrait is just a like fucking caricature of Steven Seagal. But like, you know, she has lived her entire life in Japan. She doesn't speak a word of any other language. But she feels like othered by everyone else in society who assumes she's a foreigner. It's an interesting, like, it gives her a lot more depth than the like pining girl that she seems like at first. You also get the incredibly like cruel thing that it does where like she gets robbed of her name because like it starts out in the game like credits all of her text boxes as Lisa, and then Eikichi is like, oh, Ginko, like because her last name's Silverman and Gin is Japanese for silver. And then like her text box is just Ginkgo for the rest of the game.
She actually says, please don't call me that before it changes too.
Yes, and then it changes. Like the game kind of makes it a meta joke that like, nope, that's her name now.
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are fun. So in Innocent Sin, you've got Tatsuya, who's the main character, and so he is pretty much acts as the silent protagonist and has options that the player can give him. Which is fine. He gets more fleshed out in Eternal Punishment when he's an actual
where he's no
character.
longer in Eternal Punishment he is no longer the protagonist.
Yeah,
he becomes the last character you get, the only one that remembers what happened in Innocent Sin and seems like a crazy person.
Yeah, but to that point, Maya Amano becomes the main character in Eternal Punishment. But in Innocent Sin, she's a bubbly, cheery character. And
yeah, it's kind of a shame to lose that. Let's think positive.
I love
Maya is so great.
So like playing through Eternal Punishment, she is the silent protagonist. So when you see her with the personality in Innocent Sin, it's really nice and refreshing.
Yeah, and that does mean that if you play the games the way they intended, you end up kind of like, oh, I missed when Maya got to talk.
Yep.
Yeah, and I did play the games as the way they were intended, but I imagine a lot of people's experience was the opposite.
That was quite jarring.
Where they played Eternal Punishment first because that's all we had, and I didn't touch it until we got that copy of Innocent Sin.
I always took Innocent Sin to represent. In this game, there's a lot of flashbacks to when all the characters are children, so it's their innocence, and then there's a scene where something bad happens. And I always took it that being the Innocent Sin that is referred to in this game.
Yeah, I always took it to mean like, because like So I'll do a quick. It's easier to do a quick thrust of the 5 minute thrust of the plot here, but basically, Innocent Sin starts with a rumor floating around that if you take out your cell phone and dial your own number, a mysterious magical entity called the Joker will pop up and grant you your wish. And so the protagonists try this, specifically Tatsuya Eikichi, which is a sort of punk from a rival school, and Lisa. They all try this. They summon Joker, and Joker immediately recognizes who they are and is clearly pissed at them. And right as he's about to kill them, he realizes that none of them remembers why he's pissed at them. I always assumed that was their reference to that Innocent Sin, which are referencing the same events. So
Yep.
But yes, they are innocent because they do not even recall what happened. But yes, it's a very good quick thrust of the plot once you get to that point, because it sets up a good central mystery, and the context of who Joker ends up being is a very interesting question that ends up having some interesting answers. But it's but yeah, that
we can spoil.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to, because it's really it's a really good story.
There's a lot of people that have not played this game yet, so
yeah,
it is an older game, but it's a really good game.
As far as Persona games, this is probably the least played. And if you've played Eternal Punishment, who Joker is not the same.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Noted.
I'll spoil that. Those are different.
See, from what little I knew of Eternal Punishment, being honest, I thought that Innocent Sin was a sequel, and that Joker didn't know, what, you don't remember what happened in Eternal Punishment? Ah, dang nabbit. That's what I was picturing happening.
Innocent Sin is the 1A, Eternal Punishment is the 1B, basically.
Yeah,
or 2A, 2B if you want to.
Yeah. Easy way to remember it. The kanji are the same as crime and punishment. You commit a crime, you get a punishment. But sumi tobatsu. But yeah, it's a really interesting story. It has a fantastic cast. I love just the entire party, their dynamic. It's often a little prickly, but it's fun. There's an interesting Persona 2 Eternal Punishment gets a lot of play because it's the one with actual adults in the cast. But one of the things I do there are a couple adults in this, but one of the things I do is that Tatsuya, Lisa, and Eikichi are almost done with high school. The start of Innocent Sin is referencing the idea that they're about to graduate and no one has any idea what kind of ambitions, if any, that Tatsuya actually has. And that kind of fits with the thrust of what Persona's thematic idea of free of determining the self from the void is that is an age that fits that, I think. So
yeah, and a lot of the other elements from the newer Persona games you start to see form in Innocent Sin, where characters have to face their evil versions of themselves, or their repressed emotions, basically. And they have to overcome them, and usually when that happens, I think you need to do a certain amount of side quest stuff, but you get your ultimate personas once you've overcome those issues. But the evil versions of these characters are very mean.
Absolutely.
Start poking at all their insecurities and whatnot.
And their character portraits are unsettling.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up the portraits in this one are a huge step up, because they're still designed by Kaneko, but this is the first one where they're actually illustrated by Shigenori Soejima. So they have a lot more warmth to them than the ones in Persona 1.
And they have a lot of different expressions too.
Second, I agree with. First part, I find the ones in Innocent Sin anyway were a bit unsettling all across the board. It didn't feel warm
at all there. I don't get you at all.
The twisted versions of the characters.
Oh, those are weird little fuckers.
But the regular ones were just fine to me.
I will say one other. Okay.
Sorry, I particularly liked Ichi's design the best.
I will say one other thing that this introduced to the series was the notion of your character choosing a romantic partner, and is to this day the only one in the entire franchise where it can be gay. You can choose to reciprocate the feelings of another male character, and that's worth something. Yes. But
Also, one of my favorite things about Innocent Sin is we had talked about earlier, but you get to confront and beat up Hitler, which is fun. Yeah, Hitler in sunglasses. I believe his subplot is he's looking for the Lance of Longinus, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that ends up happening with this game is that, conceptually, the underpinning is rumors have power, and spreading a rumor causes it to become truth. And there are a few times where that's how you access bonus dungeons. That's how you set what certain shops actually stock by spreading a rumor this place has really great weapons, but they're pretty expensive. You pay a private detective agency to go around and spread rumors. But that ends up being the whole thing, is that people start having rumors about did you hear more and more of these classic conspiracy theories start popping up, and so you start hearing about the Illuminati and the secret Hitler and the occultism, and all of these things are popping into existence because everyone has started going nuts and kind of believing all of them.
I have to say that the only thing going through my head right now is the song Rumors.
I just find it hilarious that when they localized it, they put Hitler in sunglasses and called him.
That wasn't a localization change. That was a PSP version change.
Okay. That they called him Deferrer, as if we wouldn't be able to tell who the hell that was.
But yeah, I think the final dungeon is Xibalba, which is because of Mayan conspiracy prophecies that were common pre-2012.
Before we get too far away from the detective agency aspect, is for those that might know more background, does it have anything to do with Raito at all?
It's the Kuzunoha detective agency, so theoretically it's related, but it's not any more than that.
They're in different times.
Yeah, 60 years later, 70 years later, but I was curious if they were the
Raito is also in kind of a weird alternate Taisho era, I think.
Yeah.
So it would be hard to cleanly connect them because World War II doesn't seem to happen the same way in Raito.
Okay.
But yeah, the Kuzunoha as the creme de la creme of detectives is being seeded in the greater Megami Tensei metaverse at this point. Let's see. There's also his assistants are the protagonists from Shin Megami Tensei If.
Come on, are you expecting Raito to show up like he does in SMT3?
On the
Maniac
US
Chronicle edition?
I mean, we get him in the US.
Yeah, he's in the HD remaster.
I feel
the original one was though Dante.
Dante, yeah, we didn't get Dante the second time around.
No, that was a DLC. You could get it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
DLC.
I bought that DLC for Nocturne. The Nocturne remaster just to have Dante.
Unfortunately, it's Devil May Cry 2 Dante, so I don't care as much.
But yeah, I feel like I really should play If, but a lot of you have told me that it's not that good.
It's rough. You're going to get to one dungeon and you're just going to have to wait for 8 hours for people to dig, and it's painful. If
you think that Persona 1 is mean, If is 5 times meaner. It's extremely strange.
I will say If is a little bit shorter than 1 and 2, so but there are easy paths and longer paths and then secret paths, and you can choose your secondary character, and that kind of changes the direction you go.
And again, the only way to get personas in that is when you die, and what persona you get is going to be determined by how far you manage to get with that last one. So you can get really fucked if you're having trouble, because if you keep dying, you're going to get worse and worse ones.
Yeah, that was a really weird system for me to get used to, because I didn't realize in your status screen there was a bar that your demons were tracking how much experience they were getting, and you had to wait till it was filled or somewhat filled to get a different demon to join you. And it was time locked. You had to do certain dungeons for it to get new ones. So it's not like you could just
you can't run around grinding the first dungeon.
Yep, you can do that. Anyways,
very mean game.
But yeah, at the end of Innocent Sin, you beat the bad guy, and you are confronted with a problem that you didn't really save the world, and everyone kind of gets memory wiped, so to speak. And they get like sent to like a different, is it a different dimension?
Essentially an alternate dimension. I think it's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically what it is.
But like everyone gets their mind wiped except for Tetsuya, the protagonist. And then that's kind of what happens in Eternal Punishment. He's kind of just talking nonsense and no one really knows what he's talking about. But he's the only one that remembers the events of Innocent Sin.
Like he is like the archetypal guy standing on the street corner holding a sandwich board that says at the end it's nigh.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to get that. Like if you've played Persona 2, you're like, yeah, he's 100% right, but no one's listening. But the other thing that's interesting is that like throughout Persona 2 Innocent Sin, you're seeded with these references to characters that either don't appear at all or appear very little, like Tachi's brother Katsuya or Maya's roommate, like these other characters that like it sounds like they have close relationships with, but which we just don't see much of. And then, like, slowly they end up filling out the cast of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment.
Yeah, I think in Innocent Sin, you hear about this rumor monger on the internet, and then you know in Eternal Punishment, he joins your team.
Yep. Or like, yeah, you visit Maya's like apartment once, and it's an absolute fucking sty, and she talks about her roommate, and then like you actually get her roommate in your party in Eternal Punishment. But Joker is still kind of the linchpin of this plot, but he's different now. He looks more like a serial killer, and I think that's all he does. So it's like, call me if you want them dead.
Well, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Joker also from the timeline of Innocent Sin? So he also remembers events because he's a character from the same timeline, right?
Yeah, I think
his name isn't like, Tatsuya. It's something similar to Tatsuya.
You're thinking of Sudo, but yeah, like he's a whole different person with different motivations who is someone from Innocent Sin, and then like the plot goes in a very different direction, but like you see echoes of what's happening in Innocent Sin. Like instead of the Illuminati being the rumored thing running around, the New World Order is rumored to be running around, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I really loved the rumor system in these games where you're just like, okay, well, let's open up a path. Well, how are we going to open up a path? Let's start a rumor that there's a pathway right here. And then like, that's not going to work. And then, a door just shows up out of nowhere.
I think one of my favorite, like just dumb rumors in Innocent Sin is like the first boss is like your evil principal, and you fucking kill him by like knocking him out of a clock tower. And like a student comes in afterward and is like, did the principal just die? And one of your options, you can say, yeah, he did. Or you can say, no, he's still alive. And then like that student runs out and is like, the principal's not dead. He's going to come back when like the school is in danger.
Oh, right. And then he comes back in Eternal Punishment as a ghost, right?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
I spoiled myself on this. Actually, if you say that he survives because he basically jumps himself out of the clock tower because I beat that boss, and it's like there's no way he could have survived that. But someone comes in. If you say he survived it, he shows back up when the school gets attacked, and he's like, he holds like a super spear or something. You're like,
because like the rumor. Yeah, because the rumor was that like, oh, he's actually a heroic guy who's going to come back when the school's in danger. So like, because of that, the rumor came true. He comes back, and he is actually a heroic guy trying to help you. It's good.
He ends up dying at that point, and then that's why he's a ghost probably in Eternal Punishments, because he sacrifices himself for the school, and you get the super weapon.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite things, and just a tip for anyone that does go about playing Innocent Sin: just let them think what they want to think about it. But
I feel like if this game would have come out in more modern times, it would have had a save transfer system where decisions like that would have carried over.
Maybe. Like, it's thematically important that the Eternal Punishment world is not the same.
Right.
And Suikoden did this back in the day with save transfer too, so like that existed on the PlayStation.
That just seems like that would have been an idea that they would have thought of, but it didn't happen. And I'm surprised that it didn't happen.
Yeah, I'd suspect that like they didn't want to make it feel like Persona
You had
2
to play
was.
Mhm.
Yeah, they didn't want people to feel like, oh, I'm not really playing them unless I buy both of them. Because like both of these are good games on their own. They just get much stronger when you play both of them.
Yeah, because I think we've made this statement before that a lot of people feel like they're missing something when they only played Eternal Punishment.
Yeah, like EP, it's still a very good, very interesting, very satisfying story by itself. There's no reason to not play it, but I do think that now that we that we live now, you really like there's nothing stopping you from playing both, and I think that that really lays bare how good the like general writing and plot is. The gameplay can still be kind of but it's a lot easier to stomach in this because it's a stronger central narrative.
Do we want to take a break and then dive into Eternal Punishment, or do we still have more to say with Innocent Sin?
I'd be happy to move on, but I cede the decision.
I don't really have much I can say because, again, I ended up fighting Joker and getting my butt whooped, and I was like, I'm done with this.
Should have called Batman.
I did appreciate that the PSP version had a difficulty slider. I think all it did was just give you more EXP and gold, though.
My recommendation to anyone who's considering playing Innocent Sin is to just don't even bother getting different personas. There are like a few places where the game will just give you better ones, and you can literally get through the majority of the game with the starters. It's not even hard. And getting new personas is grindy and slow. You have to talk to enemies that are either already your friends and get them to give you blank tarot cards that you can then turn into the arcana you need. Or you need to talk to enemies that are of the right arcana that will give you the right tarot cards, and it's very slow.
You need a lot of RNG in the combat system. I had a guide up to try dealing with it, and I was like, oh, to get this one pretty soon in, you need 18 of this card. And like, okay, and how much do I get from the first? You get 2. Like, oh, so I have to fight this fight 9 times just so I can get the next one. And this is the beginning of the game.
Yeah. My advice, I've played it through several times this way. Just don't even bother getting don't bother worrying about other personas. As they get higher rank, personas get like your initial personas will be strong enough to carry you until the game just gives you additional personas.
Sorry. I think it's a godsend that they dumped the first person combat, or the first person dungeons rather.
The first person dungeons are these ones are much easier to navigate. There are still just bastard floors that will cause you to fall through the floor, and suddenly you got to climb up 2 floors again. But this
Classic
is the price
SMT
we pay.
tropes.
Yep. Be aware of that, and don't bother like even really interfacing with the persona system outside the ones the game gives you, and you'll be fine.
And as the Revelations Persona fan, that's going to tease the Innocent Sin fan. Yes, if you just don't play half the game, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, like that beats not playing 75% of the game, and none of it you can skip.
I still have played most things in Revelations, but I know I'm odd.
I find it to be interesting. I wouldn't. It's easier for me to recommend Innocent Sin. I'll put it that way.
Maybe I just glossed over aspects and I just didn't speak up myself. But one of the things that made me not really connect as easily to Innocent Sin was the extra movement actually felt like to me it was too much. Like you didn't need to do all this extra movement. Like if they would have just kept them stationary, it would have worked. The combat system would have worked easier.
Your character's jumping around in Persona 2 doesn't actually do anything.
Okay.
They just
I hadn't played it enough to figure that out yet. So
yeah. To be clear, your characters will jump around a lot. They're not actually like their positioning doesn't do anything. The only things like the only thing you have to worry about is that multiple characters casting like working in sequence can cast like combination spells, and you do need to like account for that if you're trying to cast those combination spells.
And
But
don't they actually get better the more you do them?
the more that you use your personas, personas don't level in this, but they have ranks. And once they reach max rank, like part of the reason that you can get away with using like your starter personas for so goddamn long is that as they rank up and as they do fights, they will sometimes gain stat ups. And the way that magic works in this is weird. Your magic, the cost of a spell is determined by the persona that casts it, not the spell itself. So those like high rank, low level personas can get can get a lot of mileage out of their very, very cheap spell pools.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately, like it's not an excuse. The system it's as engineered is bad, but it's easy to play around if you know what you're doing.
And like
Is
you said with those
everybody-
combo attacks, as two people can, initiate them, but I think you can by the end of the game, all 5 characters
Yes, you can.
unite.
You can get combo attacks that require as many characters as exist in your party.
Yeah, and like that's how you pretty much wreck a lot of the end game stuff.
Yeah, those combo spells tend to be extraordinarily strong.
Is everybody still a wild card?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone's a wild card, and that's the other reason that I recommend just like don't worry about interfacing with the persona system. Just get the ones that the plot will give you. There are some like minor side things you have to do to get some of them, but ultimately like the prime personas that you get at endgame are also good enough to get you through the endgame.
It sounds like this is the start of the simplification of the persona system that
There
we'll
is-
see
there-
in the
There was
PS2.
very clearly an effort to streamline the game and like simplify it. There are fewer elements, the entire removal of the range system. It's clear that they were kind of like trying to simplify and hone in on what were seen as strengths of the original game while making it more approachable.
Yeah. I like seeing some of the starting bones of a lot of the stuff that we'll see in later games. Like you said, there being a hidden social link system in there that they'll expand on later.
I wouldn't say fully hidden, but like the way that the game is like it's more that like instead of giving you like a flash to say that like, hey, these characters are closer now, after certain scenes, you'll notice that they're more willing to interact in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like in general, like this party gets to play off each other a whole lot more to the point like much closer to what you see in like the parties of like Persona like 4 and 5, where like these characters have very defined relationships and very like fun and interesting dynamics.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I found the characters in Persona 1 just to be as flat as cardboard.
Yeah, there's interesting ideas in there, and some of them do fun things, but like ultimately, it's mostly a dungeon crawler.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like for good and ill, that is what it is.
And probably one of the main reasons why I like and defend. I'm a dungeon crawler fan.
Yeah, like if you like
Oh.
dungeon crawlers, there is actually plenty to like about Persona 1. It's just, as I made clear, I'm not a huge dungeon crawler guy, so take my thoughts with a grain of salt.
Oh, yeah. And even as a fan of it, there are definitely moments where like the world map and everything, and it's
I do play that PSP version where that world map is much less obnoxious.
Oh, yes.
But there are cool things in Persona 1. Like we barely even touched on like just the different party compositions and just being able to find an entire second quest. Like that's cool. But you know.
And it was one of the first games which I believe goes through all the personas where each character feels different and has their like they were able to be molded by the player, but they each had their own distinct they all felt different.
Yeah, in these early games, you can't change their affinities. So there's certain things that you're just kind of stuck with, like that's just what they can do. But you can still make decisions about like stat allocations and that kind of thing. So I think that probably wraps it up for Innocent Sin at the moment.
Okie dokie. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back with Eternal Punishment and then wrap it up with the roundtable. And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we are now getting into some eternal punishment with Persona 2 Part 2, released in 2000 on the PlayStation 1, and then
We actually got it this time.
Yeah, but not the PSP version that came out in 2012, because that was pretty much when the PSP was dead.
It was after the PSP version of Persona 3. It was weird.
They could have put it out just digitally.
So the choice that they ended up making was that in 2013 they put out the PS1 version as a PS1 Classic.
Yeah, that was okay, I guess. I would have preferred the PSP version.
It would have been nice, but as mentioned several times, as far as I can tell, the game is a nightmare under the hood. Like,
yeah,
the actual work of reprogramming it to take English text was apparently a pain in the ass. So,
well, I'm glad I'm glad that they put it out as a PS1 classic, just to make it playable for people that didn't get a chance to play it.
Yeah, along with that, I think they put out like a little like cheat sheet of this is this name that has been retained from Revelations Persona, but should have been retranslated to match Innocent Sin. This is what it is. So like Trilenium Committee means non-joke group.
But it being a late PS1 release, for the longest time, it was pretty hard to find. But then Atlas did one of their stealth reprints that they like to do on occasion, because I'll never forget walking into GameStop and seeing a row of them and being like, what the hell happened here?
Don't worry, it's hard to find again.
Yeah. Well,
it's now very expensive.
All retro games are hard to find again, I feel like.
Yeah, I was lucky. I found Persona 1 and 2, basically brand new. But yeah, they were just right next to each other.
I bought them brand new.
I didn't know what they were when they were brand new, so I came in when they were used copies, but still new-ish.
But yeah, I was honestly surprised that there was a sequel to Persona on the PlayStation 1. And then through that Hardcore Gaming 101 article, learning like, well, yeah, it was a sequel, but it was a sequel of a sequel. And I'm like, oh, well, what happened to the other game? Oh, we didn't get that other game. Okay. Well, that just made me sad.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of you played this first without the context of Innocent Sin.
Yep. So you star as
most of the people who played it.
Yeah.
Star as Maya this time. So she loses all her personality, basically.
Yeah.
But Tatsuya talks a lot now.
Yeah, Tatsuya talks a lot. You get to hang out with him and his brother Katsuya.
Yeah,
that's not confusing.
Yeah, right. He's the detective. He him and the adult cast. So this is Persona 2 has a more adult cast, and they go hang out in bars and go to opium dens and do all the cool things that adults do.
I, as an adult, go to an opium den once every few days. So, but yeah, like. This is another one where it's like I don't want to talk too much about what happens in it because the story's really good, and we kind of already covered everything that I think was safe. But
basically, isn't it an alternate dimension of Innocent Sin?
Yeah, it's kind of like after the events of Innocent Sin, like everyone's kind of shepherded over to this other side, and we're hoping that the same thing doesn't happen this time.
And we've got the character Balfu that is part of that company that helps spread the rumors. Or no, I'm sorry, it's a magazine, an occult magazine, isn't it?
He's part of like the rumor mongers that are online.
Yeah, you ran into him online in Innocent Sin. You just didn't see him.
Yep.
Now you see him, and he just has the capacity to just sort of threaten demons that he'll wiretap them.
Extortion is his game.
God, Balfu's great.
A lot of people think he looks just like Ozzy Osbourne, and I see that.
Yeah, there's a bit of Osbourne in him.
Is there something to I could just have bad memory again? But I thought Eternal Punishment had a different type of way of showing the battle system, at least compared to Innocent Sin. Is that accurate, or am I just misremembering?
My memories are conflating between the two different versions of Innocent Sin. Where like original Innocent Sin on PS1, the way that it had worked was that like you chose commands for characters and they would just keep looping them until until you told them to stop, like you told it you wanted to like start setting commands again. Whereas like the PSP version moves to a much more traditional, just select what everyone does every turn. I think that's probably backported, but it's been forever.
Innocent Sim did have a way of like you could select auto what you just picked. So if you
Yeah.
set up a 2-person combo, 3-person combo in a particular order, you could just click that
Yes.
even after the combat ended. You're in a new fight, you just click that. They just use the same abilities.
Hmm.
Is that the same to anyone's recollection with Eternal Punishment? Because
The last one I played was Innocent Sin, which is why I'm just completely blanking.
and since I played Revelations soon before and after I tried Eternal Punishment, I'm just picturing that visual again, except with bigger like sprites. So like, was it stationary or could they move around like in Innocent Sin?
I think they moved around.
Yeah, I suspect that
Okay.
like that part stayed the same. They move around, but it's entirely a visual affair.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like the game, like one of those things that I think is interesting about both of the Persona 2 games is that they take on a very different life depending upon if you've played the other and in what order you played them in.
Mm-hmm.
Like because like they're like Eternal Punishment, Innocent Sin is full of setups for things that are in Eternal Punishment. Eternal Punishment is full of callbacks to things that were in Innocent Sin, but both are functional as individual games, and you'll get a very different experience depending upon what order you played them in. But both very worthy. The gameplay here is very similar, especially if you play the PSP version of Innocent Sin, where many of the modifications and improvements to Eternal Punishment were then backported into that version.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play those versions back to back, and there is, if you are a particular stickler, a fan translation existent now for Eternal Punishment Portable, then if you play those back to back, you will get a very smooth and consistent experience in as far as Persona 2 is capable of delivering.
One thing I really liked about Eternal Punishment is if you had played Persona 1, you see a lot of the characters from the first game, and some of them join you depending on your
Yes.
actions, which is pretty cool. What you get
Generally, the more
Ellen,
interesting ones from
you get Ellen and Nate to join you. And then they have two different. They have very different routes depending on which one you choose, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're both. It's honestly kind of worth playing the game. Like if you really love the game, like I do, like I would say it's probably worth playing for both of them, just because it's interesting to see where they've gone, especially if you have a fondness for Persona 1. It's interesting to see where they've gone since then. Like, it's just cool. It's just a cool way to, it definitely, like, Persona 1 and 2 end up feeling a lot more interlinked because of that aspect of Eternal Punishment. Which is, again, saying something because they all kind of have the same villain. But yeah.
I thought Persona 2 on the PS1 looked so much better than Persona 1.
Oh,
But
like
granted,
artistic.
There's
Yeah,
like, 4 years difference.
Yeah, you can tell that one is a 1996 PlayStation 1 game and one is a 2000 PlayStation 1 game. But yeah, they're like, if any of these sounds interesting to you, there is a lot to be mined out of these, even the one that I couldn't stop complaining about. Like my capacity to talk up Eternal Punishment is hindered by the fact that Eternal Punishment is that Eternal Punishment like has very similar gameplay to Persona 2, and I still don't want to spoil things because this is one of the least played games in the series. But it's really good.
Is it though?
It is.
One thing, for whatever reason, these games didn't sell well, so Atlas decided to change things up, from Persona 1 and 2 to what you see in Persona 3 with the school day and night system. But one thing that persisted through, the transition was the Velvet Room and Igor
Yes.
and that whole system. They're like, well,
Velvet Room
this
used to have
works.
5 people in it.
Yeah, yeah. There used to be a piano. Someone playing the piano.
There was a pianist, a singer. Like the singing,
Yeah.
the music used to be diegetic. It was the same song. There was a singer, there was a pianist, and there was also a blind painter.
Yes, yeah.
Aria of
your
the Soul.
and your characters, all the conversations were just so much fun. Just just them being in there and like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? with
The
these
entire
people?
party very confused. There is a character that actually recurs throughout the Persona 1 games that actually you can occasionally spot if in Persona 3 you check if you check the dorm room TV every day, there will occasionally be a reference to Trish, the greedy pixie that runs the healing fountain in Personas 1 and 2.
I would have hit Trish with a fly swatter for charging me that much to heal.
She is very expensive.
Do you want to live?
But yes, our Aria of the Soul, one of the most beautiful pieces of video game music ever put to a disc.
I do say my favorite thing with the Velvet Room is always the fact that they say it changes every single game on what it looks like.
Mhm.
I'm very interested to see because they just announced Persona 6, and
They might as well not have, given for all that they actually showed of this.
I mean, they did the same thing with Persona 5, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in this case, when it's been 10 years and you haven't announced it, you might as well not bother until you're willing to show something.
Yeah.
I have a very early, without anyone saying anything about it, to my knowledge, the Persona 6 Velvet Room's going to look like Frankenstein's lab.
An option. I do appreciate that they've become more thematic over time. But
And I just realized that Philemon was mostly in these first 3 games, and
he
his
is
only
the
real
save butterfly.
his only real presence is being the save butterfly. And
Yes, and part of that is
later.
a consequence of the events of Eternal Punishment. Like, it is made clear why, to some extent, that he's trying to meddle less.
Yeah, and that's an interesting connection that I've never made before. Mainly because of how much time I've had to forget stuff between playing a lot of these games.
Yeah, these games will get philosophical if you dive deep enough. There's a lot of
You're
conflict.
basically playing proxy for gods fighing and all.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong.
And
But they're not
I
allowed
watched
to get as...
I know Kelly shared a video the other day of or someone shared a Final Fantasy 16 video. Well, I saw the Persona 1 and 2 one by that same dude a few years back.
Not the recap video, the joke video, which
Yes.
is basically a recap but comedic.
It's comedic and also shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that fucking video you linked and opened it up, and then it said it was 52 minutes, and I was like, I don't quite have time for this.
I figured you would appreciate the
I intend to get around to it, but I did not have, and like, I thought it was 2 minutes, and then I saw, oh wait, that's 52 minutes. I'll have to get back to it.
I watched all 52 minutes of that, and there's some running gags in it that are pretty peak.
Yeah,
that I
I'll
won't
have to check it
spoil.
out.
But as far as Persona, I didn't play Persona 3 until Persona 3 Portable, and that was after 4. So
Yeah,
any
but they backported
connections,
a bunch of...
any
I-
connections that these made kind of got lost on me.
I was expecting
Unfortunately.
something very similar to Persona 2, and then the characters are shooting themselves in the head.
so
Yeah, like, there's, Atlas did a few of those, like, we brought back this legacy brand, but we've completely rethought how it functions.
One thing I thought was
There's-
funny was you look at Persona 1 and 2 on the PS1, there's no mention of Shin Megami Tensei, and then Persona 3 comes out, and right at the front, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona 3, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the official
Well, they did the
full-
same thing with Nocturne too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Nocturnes is a Shin Megami Tensei game.
Like, with in Japan, Persona 1 was Megami Ibunoku Persona, with the incredible tagline, "Be your true mind."
Wow.
It
I
is
did not
almost
know
an
that.
English phrase.
And I feel like by the time Persona 3 came out, that they were much more comfortable having the Japanese in the title, because at that point anime was
Well, but
very established here.
so two thoughts. Oh, God.
Well, no, but, my copy of Persona 3 arrived at my house the day that I was going to an anime convention
Mhm.
for context. So,
Yeah, yeah.
If I may, for some context in this, for a lot of what
Mhm.
we've discussed over the last 10 minutes can be partly explained by Persona 1 and both Persona 2s were written by the same uh, writer
Yes.
who then left Atlas soon after that. So when Persona 3 came out, they had a brand new writing staff for it that wasn't connected and had other aspects to tie from rather than
And
this.
yeah.
and don't mistake any listeners, don't mistake any of this for complaints. We're not complaining. I just think that comparing and contrasting old Persona to new Persona is kind of fascinating.
And don't think too hard about what that writer may have gone on to do.
Huh.
Caligula effect.
You didn't Chronicle Rising.
Uh,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
let's see. Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna briefly bring up that there is actually a character running around in there are references to that writer running all throughout Personas 1 and 2. The like Satomi Tadashi is his name. But yes, more recently, yes, he was a scenarist on Eiyuden Chronicles Rising and the Caligula Effect games. I was briefly very excited about Caligula Effect, and then it came out.
Not a fan.
No, not so much. But yeah, like they're interesting games. They accomplish different things, but ask a Devil Summoner fan, and you will find that Atlas was all about reinterpreting its old sub brands when they brought them to PS2. Let's stick a fork in this thing and move on.
I was going to say we don't have as much to say about Eternal Punishment since it's basically the same game, just different characters.
Yeah,
It's a more adult cast.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of references to Innocent Sin that you would only get if you had played the first game. So if you're gonna play these games, do it in that order: Innocent Sin to Eternal Punishment.
Yeah, release order always the best option.
And I highly recommend finding the PSP versions on the back of a truck, since those are a lot more streamlined than the PS1 classics, as it were.
Yeah, as best you can.
If you have a Steam Deck, it runs PSP stuff pretty well. That being said, I think that was a subtle hint that we're ready for the round table. So let's take a brief break, and then we'll come back and give our personal feelings and wrap this up. And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we are now doing the roundtable, our personal thoughts, our feelings, our favorite things. That being said, what was you guys' favorite moment from any game in this trilogy?
I'll mention mine, especially since I'd never come across anything like it. The negotiation system in Revelations always felt random to me because it felt like anyone I would pick would sometimes anger any given demon. Well, the next time they'd be more intrigued by it, and just the banter back and forth, and then out of nowhere having demons say, "You should play more games by Atlas. Atlas is amazing." I'm like, wait, what?
That's a good one.
David, what about you?
It's hard for me to narrow it down because there's just a lot of things that I enjoy throughout both of the two games. But honestly, it really is probably when the world starts really going completely nuts near the end of both two games. It's just the game really starts reveling in how people are getting more and more conspiratorially minded, and the conspiracies are piling on top of each other. So that's me. That's my that's my choice. It's kind of a broad one, but
Yeah,
it's really
I just
fun.
consider Persona 2 as a whole a really fantastic game.
Mhm.
To experience it all, you need to play them both.
Hmm.
I
And it really,
personally, no, I personally just like the fact that you didn't have to take the first, in the first game, you didn't have to take the first friend who was like, "Oh, I can help you." It's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't like you.
the real thing is that the game does not surface that information. So, like, if you don't, I had a friend who played it and did not realize that, like, once they said yes, that they could not swap them out for someone else when they met them. It's like, no, you picked your fifth person, you have to stick with them.
Yeah, but the first four, you have no choice.
Hmm. But your fifth person, you get a choice, and there's one in particular who's a little motherfucker to actually recruit, and requires you to go through one of the first dungeons without a fifth person at all, because the only way to recruit him is after that first dungeon.
Yeah, I hate it when games are obtuse like that.
Like, it's kind of fun because Reiji is like this weird presence throughout the game, but he's a little motherfucker because, like, I mentioned this before. There's a point where one of the things required to recruit him is to talk to a specific store clerk once. If you talk twice, it unticks the event flag. It's incredible.
Also, with the obtuseness of that character, I was like, oh, maybe I should try grabbing it because I knew there was a secret character. I had played maybe an hour, hour and a half of it on portable, and I was like, well, can't get him already.
Yep. It is very easy to lock yourself out of getting him, even if you know what you need to do. Extremely hostile. Incredible. 10 out of 10.
Get him every time, right?
Favorite
I just
character.
like that these high school students are just running around with guns and swords and demons, and everyone's just kind of just minding their own business. Like, okay, nothing to see here.
Listen, those guns were sold to them by a lady serving ramen who is rumored to secretly be a ex-KGB agent.
What about you, Dalendar? Did you say your favorite
I
moment?
did, yes.
Okay. I guess that just leaves me. That first time in Persona 1 when you go to visit Maya in the hospital and then things just go to shit because of how
Yeah.
creepy it is.
Yeah, it's good. I do want to mention real quick, in Innocent Sin, there's a fun little reference to Power Rangers when all the flashbacks to the little kids, they're all wearing
Little
masks.
Sentai masks.
They're like, I don't know if they're trying to hide their identities or whatnot, but they're all wearing different masks and they're all being, kind of just, cute little innocent kids and whatnot and just having fun, getting together. But I was like, oh, Power Rangers. I know that.
Yeah, they're all wearing little Sentai masks. It's cute.
So what about our favorite characters?
I really like Maya.
Yeah, Maya's an easy pick. I don't blame you at all. Like
Like I said, I played Eternal Punishment first. So when I got around to Innocent Sin and she was actually talking and cheery and bubbly and had, iconic lines and stuff. So I was like, this is great.
beloved writer for Teen Magazine, coolest.
That's so Vogue.
In Japan, she would they correctly decided that her little catchphrase in Innocent Sin should be in English. They they made its grammar proper by having her say, "Let's think positively." In Japan, she was saying in English, "Let's positive thinking," and that's charming to me. I like that.
I've got a soft spot for Ichi just because I liked his personality and the fact that he's one of the few characters you meet in a Persona game that knows how to summon a persona before your characters do.
And he's got the Desperado weapon where doesn't he have the machine gun in his
it's a guitar case with a gun in it.
Yeah. It's pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, Eikichi's great. He actually has some of my favorite character development in it as well. He's just a lot of fun. I guess I brought up Lisa because I like that they actually tackled that idea of like someone who considers themselves Japanese but is not actually like who is not perceived as being Japanese due to her like mixed heritage. I thought that was an interesting character trait that like they haven't really been willing to venture into again.
See, I could have sworn that Panther in
Anne
Persona 5.
is mixed race, but it's never brought up in the game.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I could have sworn she was mixed race, but I could. It's been so long, I couldn't
She is
remember
one
how.
quarter Finnish. It is basically only brought up in extra material.
Okay, that makes sense.
I
Here's
still
our-
love that character, but it is one of those things where like it feels like there is interesting drama to mine from that they were not willing to do.
And here's our wild card question that Scar
Oh.
put in. What Persona Arcana do you think you fall under?
My apologies. Can I mention my favorite character?
Oh, sorry, I
Oh,
thought
of
you were.
course.
Just because, like, as a huge fan of Revelations Persona, the heart and soul right from the beginning is Mary. One of the longest lasting, especially since we talked about how the character designs weren't all that great for me anyway, was Mary's character, and that full body bow that she has is one of the coolest weapons I've seen. Like I've loved bow people ever since. So
Fair enough.
and Simple Kid, even, I mean, it's probably before I was a teenager, but weakness for redheads, and Revelation, she has pink hair, so
Yeah, I forgot they did that. Fair enough.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hmm.
Now,
I didn't go, but I also don't really have one. I don't think
That's
I don't
more
I
proof
don't
you
I
need to
don't
do
feel
your
I got
homework
far
now.
enough in the games to really have a favorite character.
That's understandable. Do your homework.
so now I ask, what Persona Arcana do you think you fall under?
Oh, that's easy. I'm the Hanged Man.
Why do you say that?
I have reasons.
Oh, okay.
Leaving it as that.
I at least know what I am.
I looked through a few of these. I think the Star Arcana fits me very well. It says it symbolizes hope, self-confidence, faith, altruism, luck, generosity, peace, and joy. And I think I have most of those traits.
The Hermit, the search for inner truth, the spiritual awakening, the general like quest for knowledge kind of stuff. That's my kind of thing.
See, I wish I would have looked at this beforehand because I'm looking at the wiki and trying to figure out what matches my personality. I feel like I need to take a quiz for this.
I'm sure one of those exists online.
Oh, with all
Or-
the Persona fans, I'm sure there are.
Or I could just say the fool, which I imagine is supposed to represent hopefulness from what I remember of my
The Fool
tarot.
represents the beginning of a journey.
Well, I don't really journey a lot.
The journey does not have to be literal.
Which,
Do you play some Journey music?
Ooh.
Yes.
Don't stop
What-
believing.
which
No, don't.
arcana is obsessed with felines?
I don't think that's a specific one.
what's your favorite? Basically, my plan was to look up one of my favorite personas and just say the one that was associated with that. So if there's a cat persona, just
Yeah,
which one is that associated with?
hang on,
Noted Nekomata.
hang on, Cat Sith.
What about Magician? Because of Morgana.
Maybe, but I do have kind of a spiritual connection to Cat Sith characters.
Ketchi.
Ketchi. Because of Final Fantasy VII,
I know, I
feel like
understand.
I feel like I have to say it right, even though it hurts my soul. But no, cat Siths are Scottish cat fairies that cause trouble unless you bribe them with milk. And
It's like a real cat.
yeah, and they're usually represented by a dark-colored cat, like either gray or black, with a white spot on their chest. And two of my favorite kitties that I've ever owned, one named Spot and one named Ozzy, both had white spots on their chest.
I mean, it's basically just Puss in Boots in an RPG.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because the character in SMT is represented that looks like Puss in Boots, and I really want to get a tattoo of that.
Ooh. So that one would be the Magician Arcana.
Okay, the magician. Yeah, then that's probably me.
Dalindar?
I'm trying to see if I could find something more than just the basic, but surprisingly or unsurprisingly, throughout the franchise, one of my favorites has actually been Pixie.
I don't mind it.
So,
Early
as a
healing.
result, like I just wanted I always like keeping healers in the party longer than like in most games. They never really evolve much, so it was always hard to get rid of Pixie, and she's just always around in each of the games. I just don't remember what Arcana she's a part of.
She's part of a few. Lover and Magician.
Yeah, I think Lover's most often, but yeah.
Yeah, and in the Persona game, it's always the most interesting to see how characters interact. And I don't know too much about the like tarot card aspects behind it, but I know lovers can also mean just the connections and bonds between people. And considering I'm the person where I want every game to have more dialogue in it because I want people to talk more, I think that fits. So
Yeah, lovers need not be romantic.
And then
You know what? Yeah. So the Hanged Man is generally a person who's like feeling trapped, confined, self-limiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, needing release, or letting go. Yeah, I am the Hanged Man.
Well, here's to a better tomorrow.
Thank you, David. I just hide it well, but at least I know what I am.
Well, we're here for you one way or the other.
sorry, go ahead. Okay, so
Made
I
you
was
guys
trying-
think on that one, huh?
yeah, a little too hard. But now to get to my favorite question, as always, do you have any associative memories with any of these games? Because I've got a funny one for mine.
I remember. Oh, God.
I just remember playing this in the living room and fighting zombies in the jail while my dad was napping on the couch one afternoon when he was studying to be a lawyer. I vaguely remember that one summer afternoon just sitting on the couch fighting zombies in the prison in Persona 1.
So I'll rattle off a couple, one for each game. For Persona 1, I remember being just absolutely fucking confused by the world map while trying to get to a save point before I had to go to school. For Persona 2, I remember purchasing a Japanese copy off of Yahoo Auctions Japan so that I would feel justified in burning my own copy to apply the fan translation patch to. And for Eternal Punishment, I remember watching like a hawk for listings of the re-release back when it was when it had become clear that like people were rumbling that they were seeing new copies float out into the wider internet. Okay, that's mine done.
For me, I didn't get these games brand new. I picked them up late. But the good thing is, you know, it was around the time that the online forums were booming, and there was quite a lot of people that were familiar with Persona 1 and 2 at the time. And, you know, we would have these little chats talking about the games as we progressed through them. And I just remember, you know, just kind of having a lot of holy shit moments, like, oh, damn, the butler died. Oh, no, like, you know, this happened. You know, all sorts of just, how do I get out of this dungeon? I'm stuck. You know, I can't find the path forward. These maps suck. You know, we would, you know, that was my method of progressing through these games. And with Persona 2, what I remember is Persona 1 was a fun but flawed experience. Persona 2 was just a breath of fresh air. I was like, holy crap, this is so much better than what I just played in Persona 1. And, you know, this is me playing Eternal Punishment at the time. And then it just got me to really want to play Innocent Sin, which, you know, I didn't play until it got released on the PSP. I didn't go the translated method, but I was rewarded. It was a fun experience. Finally getting to play the other half of the game. So that's so, you know, what was that?
2011.
Yeah. So 10 plus years later, I finally get to complete the journey of Persona 2.
I do remember my. Okay.
I was just going to mention my memories part, so I was jumping into there. Go ahead if you're finishing up. Thought on the other one.
Yeah, the only thought was I remember that like my copy of Innocent Sin on PSP arrived. The latest I have ever seen an Amazon delivery arrive. It was like 10 p.m.
Jeez.
I was baffled. Now go right ahead.
So for mine, it was, I always remember there's a lot of games I could attribute this to, but Revelations Persona ended up being the first game I played from this particular bundle I'm about to explain, because it was black and red on the cover, which was exact same as Final Fantasy, which is why I became an RPG fan, because I, as a 3-year-old, loved the colors black and red, and I picked Final Fantasy as the first game to play. But how I got this bundle was me and my dad went to my cousin Vinny's place. He had a recording studio there, and one day my dad said, "Let's go next door. There's somebody here you should really meet." So we go up into this apartment building, walk up like 2 sets of stairs, and it's an honest to goodness, like door-to-door salesman who happened to love RPGs. So we go into his room. He's like, "I've just been staying here for a few months. But your dad said that you're a fan of RPGs." And then he opens up. I'm not sure anyone remembers this type of suitcase, but it's like almost multi-layered suitcase.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it in
Yeah.
my mind's eye.
He opens that up, and it's just 45 to like 60 RPGs on the PlayStation. He's like, "Go ahead,
Jeez.
pick what you want." And I'm like looking through them all. All of them are in pristine condition. What ends up frustrating me is I get like 20 to 25 of them. Like, I already own this one, I own that one type stuff. Dad starts paying the $215, $230. He's like, "Oh man, I'm surprised you didn't ask me about the Sega Saturn." Then he pulls another one from underneath his bed, opens it up. It's the only time I've ever seen Shining Force 3 in my life. Because I was like, "Dad, please." He's like, "No, you just paid $300 on all these RPGs. Play them first."
Nice.
And then he
Honestly,
threw in a
like
Chrono Cross clock.
the only thing that would have been funnier is if the Saturn case had nothing but like Scud the Disposable Assassin.
I'm
I'm
trying to get rid of
laughing
this
only
game.
because of the name of that game.
We're trying to get
That's
rid of this
it.
game. No one wants to buy. It's called Panzer Dragoon.
I held
Dragoon
that in my
Saga.
hand once.
Don't make
Ah.
me cry. Don't make me
He might have
cry.
had that.
Saga is a fascinating game.
He might have had it. The only reason I knew Shining Force 3 is because I had played and bought 1 and 2.
Now fare my Arctic Blast.
Terrible voice acting, but God, freaking amazing game.
And now there's fan translations of those other 2 scenarios.
Yep. So my memory, the first time I tried playing Persona on the PlayStation 1, I was in college and it was on a weekend, and my dad was messing around with something with the power while I was desperately trying to find a save point, because I don't remember why. I think I needed to go help him. And I am running around desperately trying to find the save point, and none of the map is helping. I think that's why one of you was right that the original PlayStation release either didn't have a map or it didn't have a very good map.
It did not have a good map.
Because I knew that
I
it was
remember the
like,
map.
Yeah.
I remember the map up in the corner of the
It
screen.
wasn't helpful.
It was
Yeah.
not helpful.
because I
On a
remember
CRT, you could not read it.
I was trying to find like one of those little one by one rooms, because I knew that was where it should have been. And I keep getting into encounter and to encounter, and then the power flips off.
Ooh.
And I just sit there dumbfounded, like, I can't believe that just happened. Even though, I knew that I was running a risk playing the game while Dad was messing around with the fuse box, because I think he was trying to install a ceiling fan or something and was trying to get the power in the kitchen off, but hit the block that had my bedroom. And I just kind of calmly, and this was before I was on medication, by the way, for some of my anger issues. So I just set the controller gently down on the bed, take the disc out of the PlayStation, put it up, and I didn't touch that game again for I think a decade. I can't remember when I eventually beat that version, but I was not a happy camper that day. And I'm like, yes, remember, Kel, for the future, the second Dad is messing with the power, Just stop what you're doing or don't try to power through to another save because all it's going to do is just piss you off.
Play a Game Boy game.
Yeah. Luckily now with auto saves and like with my Switch or what have you, I don't have to worry about that so much. Because at least with my Switch, I can put it in sleep mode. With auto saves, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I said, well, I could put it in sleep mode for the PlayStation, but that doesn't help when the power is shut off. But it's less of a problem now, but God, it was a problem back then.
Oh yeah.
So yes, that was my memory of this game.
Oh, that is a memory, all right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it also got me into this Shin Megami Tensei series, which is one of my favorite series of all time.
Yeah, I think SMT3 came out before Persona 3. Is that right or no?
I think so.
Yeah, Nocturne came out before Persona 3, and that's
Okay.
when they unified around like
Because
because like yeah, that's when they unified around like, well, like consumers aren't going to know that these are all related, so we're just putting Shin Megami Tensei in front of all of them.
yeah, because okay, then that makes sense. Because I played Persona 1 and 2, and then SMT Nocturne comes out, and I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with this series. This shouldn't be too hard because Persona 2 was I
of a
thought it
baby
was a
game.
little hard. Persona 1 was definitely, frustrating, kind of hard. And then Persona or SMT3 just knocked me on my ass. And I was like, what? What? That main character dies? It's a whole game. It's a game over? What's going on here? Oh, no. It was a new level of frustration when good times though. I love
Yep.
that game.
Well, that being said, that's a wrap on Persona for now, but we could always bring up SMT again if somebody played Devil Survivor for our
Yes.
I did.
minor tactical grab bag that's going to be next week's show.
This is minor about it.
But what about Majin Tensei?
Rond, is that how you say it?
Rondo.
Rondo, aka the
But
one that held a record.
That's Majin Tensei 3.
Held
Is
the
it?
record for the number of canceled pre-orders because of a
Oof.
demo.
My God.
I mean, if you looked at that game, you wouldn't want to put your money behind it either.
Oh hell no! I
Good,
mean,
good God. First of all, I am playing through Majin Tensei currently. I suggest no one ever plays that game. That
not
game
very good.
is, oh, good God, that game is frustrating. But I will beat it. But
It's an interesting idea. Devil Survivor was a better version of it. But yeah, there's Majin Tensei, there's Majin Tensei 2,
oh, I'll be getting to that one. Hopefully it's better.
Viral Nemesis. And then yeah, there's Rondo, which is the Saturn game that looks like absolute goddamn ass. And then there's a couple of cell phone only Majin Tenseis for some reason.
but this minor but tactical grab bag doesn't just include SMT. It could be anything.
But it should.
I was just trying to come up with a clever transition.
I know, but I'm ruining it.
Like I am talking about Gungnir for the PSP. One of my favorite tactics games of all times. I see Ryan's got, or Dalindar has Fellseal and Fate Tactics
Among
on there.
others.
Basically just kind of like our Dungeon Crawler episode or Kimco episode, just talking about tactical RPGs that don't necessarily can warrant a full episode on their own, but I think it's going to be a fun time.
Mhm.
Indeed.
Heck, Star, if you wanted to, you could come on to talk about Majin Tensei. Tell us how bad it is.
Oh, I will get around to it because I'm slowly writing reviews for all these Super Nintendo games. It's not going to be a good review, or it's not going to be a positive review. Maybe it'll be a good review, but
Or Dark Deity.
I've never heard good things about Majin Tensei.
it's long and frustrating, and yeah, it's. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I'm trying to get the good ending, which is even more long and strenuous and frustrating.
Ooh, I could use that as an opportunity to complain about how bad that one Valkyrie profile tactical game made me.
Covenant of the Plume.
Yeah.
Oh, I
One
love
of-
that game.
One of the few times in my life I've ever thrown my DS out of
Oh, no.
frustration.
Oh no.
I threw it on the bed, so it survived. I was angry, but I'm not dumb. But yeah, that game made me so angry. But these games didn't make me angry. I was very much looking forward to talking about old school Persona because I really want Atlas to, I don't know, release a three pack of all three PSP games as PSP ports, or not ported from the PSP to the Switch.
What's 3 games? Gungnir, Riviera,
No,
and
sorry, no, the
The Persona.
Persona.
trilogy.
okay.
Sorry,
I thought we
One
were
and
talking about the
twos.
tactical games. I was like, which ones?
Sorry,
we're back to
that was
talking about the games we were talking about.
Okay. The transition. The
that
the
transition failed horribly, but it's late. We're all tired.
Let's
I'm
go.
not.
I am.
But
That being said, I wanted to thank everybody. Thank Tam and Scar.
Tam will be hanging around because he's the
Yeah.
hangman.
Hangman.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
Thank
I mean,
thank
he
all
always
of our
hangs
guests.
around in the back of RPG casts, so
Yep,
I've even done it to the point where I've fallen asleep during it.
yep. But also need to thank Dalindar / Ryan Costa and David for hopping on.
Of course.
Thank you for this podcast.
Anytime.
I need to keep my Wednesdays free, or I'd show up more often. But like I have too many days booked up, so my Wednesdays are mine. But
I
on
feel
occasion,
your pain.
on occasion I can sub in.
No worries. And of course, thank you to Matt Mason, who I could not do this podcast without.
I'll just edit in the background. I enjoyed all your talk today. These are games that, yes, if they got a remake, I would hop on it eventually.
I'm as remake happy as Atlas is. I'm surprised that they have not hopped on it either. But who knows why they haven't done anything with these in so long.
I mean, they're too busy making Persona 5 spin-offs.
Yeah,
Well, we need Persona 4 again.
yeah.
Because, I mean,
it looks so good.
Force.
Persona 4 is my favorite in the series. So
No, what's
I'm
funny
oh,
is I've actually seen
I'd say
people
that's my
complaining that it
favorite
looks
too, yeah.
horrible.
I'd say it looks pretty good.
wow.
I think
mean,
it looks fine.
I'm
compared
happy.
compared to what it originally looked like, it looks beautiful.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
people are
happy
like,
that
"Oh, it looks washed out," and one of the complaints I saw was because they showed the yukatas, and one of the complaints was like, "Oh, they took all the yellow out of Chie's yukata."
okay.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I've seen complaints that they're already
Yeah.
taking stuff out from the game, but I'm just talking about like visually, it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've been hearing the complaints about it.
I mean, I think it's great that they're bringing back some of the older PS2 games, like they did Reload. Now they're doing or Persona 3
Oh, I
Reload.
have no issue. I think it looks good.
The world's not ready for when they decide to do Persona 5 remake.
I will feel so old that will be a
That
full
game's 10 years old.
that will be a Full House on Nick at Night moment for me.
It's fine. Persona 5 remake will come out before Elder Scrolls 6.
Might come out
Ambitious
before
to think
Persona
Elder
6.
Scrolls 6 will come out.
But I just want them to acknowledge the PS1 games, damn it.
Like
forgot
every
the phone
time they
number.
do that, they get financially punished for it. So
Well,
They also forgot the phone number of the guy who does the scenarios, so they can't bring him back.
they got him back for Eternal Punishment Portable.
But yes, thank you everybody for hanging out, and especially thank you to the listener for hanging out with us. Tune in, and one week, hopefully, we will be talking about random tactics games. So you can look forward to that, and have a great rest of your week.
ヒットポイント回復するなら傷薬と宝玉で瀕死大変仲間を助ける自我絵師の玉と反動敵が回復にストーン毒で痛いよビスポイズン麻痺した時はディスパライズで病気を治すとビスシックいつも戦うみんなの味方僕らの街のお薬屋さんヒットポイント回復するなら傷薬と宝玉で瀕死大変仲間を助ける自我絵師の玉と反動敵が回復にストーン毒で痛いよビスポイズン麻痺し も